Did ARMY notice that in the video recording for the Arirang album, Taehyung looked very pale? He seemed unwell and exhausted, even though he was accompanied by his husband, Jungkook, during the music video shoot. Moments like this made ARMY emotional. Taehyung's packed schedule clearly took a toll on him, and it felt like there was something Jungkook was trying to hide. Watch the continuation of this video and don't miss it. Before we start, make sure you're ready to love this moments. Welcome to VKook. Thank for it Rebecca Kinsespu, and at Sheila Hamilton 6541. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining this membership. The countdown to BTS's long-awaited comeback was supposed to be perfect, but suddenly everything changed. Rumors started spreading. Whispers that Kim Taehyung might not even be there. Absent during one of the most important moments of their career. Fans were confused, then worried, then terrified. Because this wasn't just about a schedule anymore. It was about something deeper, something he may have been hiding all along. And just when the silence became unbearable, Jungkook did something no one expected. He couldn't stay silent anymore. What is really happening behind the scenes? And why does this feel like more than just a rumor? The silence didn't feel normal anymore. It felt controlled. For days, BTS had been unusually quiet. No updates, no behind-the-scenes glimpses, just carefully timed posts that said everything was on track. And yet, nothing felt right. Fans noticed it first in the smallest details. The missing laugh, the fewer smiles, the way Kim Taehyung hadn't been seen clearly in recent group clips. At first, people dismissed it. Maybe he was resting. Maybe it was just scheduling. But then came the footage that changed everything. A short, almost accidental clip, barely a few seconds long. The members were standing together, preparing for what looked like a rehearsal recording. The camera shifted slightly and there he was, Taehyung. Still quiet, different. Not the Taehyung fans knew. His posture was tense, his eyes distant, like he was trying to stay present but failing. And before anyone could fully process it, the clip cut abruptly. Gone, deleted minutes later, but not before thousands had already seen it. That's when the narrative started to fracture. Some said it was exhaustion. Others whispered about something more serious, something hidden, something the public was never meant to see. And in the middle of it all was Jungkook. He was the one who broke the pattern, not with a statement, not with confirmation, but with a moment. During a live session that was supposed to be light and casual, he hesitated just for a second, but it was enough. Someone asked about the comeback, about the members, about Taehyung. Jungkook smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. There was a pause. A long one. Then he said carefully, "We're doing our best. Please wait for us." It sounded normal, but it didn't feel normal. His voice cracked slightly at the end. That single moment ignited everything. Clips circulated everywhere. Fans slowed it down, analyzed his expression, his tone, the way his hands tightened out of frame. It wasn't just concern anymore. It was fear. And the question no one could ignore began to spread. What is he not allowed to say behind closed doors? Something was clearly unraveling. Reports began surfacing from insiders. Unconfirmed, quickly buried, but consistent in one thing. Taehyung had been struggling for longer than anyone knew. Not days, not weeks, much longer. And if that was true, then every smile, every performance, every appearance leading up to this moment, what was it really hiding? The timeline stopped making sense. Moments that once felt normal now felt staged, carefully managed. Controlled narratives covering something far more fragile beneath the surface. And Jungkook. He wasn't just reacting, he was holding something in. Because every time Taehyung's name came up after that, he changed. Subtly but unmistakably. His energy dropped. His words became shorter, safer. Like he was walking a line he couldn't cross. Fans began to notice the distance between them on camera. Not emotional distance, but physical, as if something had shifted. Something unspoken. Something too heavy to bring into the light. And yet there were moments, small ones. A glance that lingered too long. A hand that almost reached out but didn't. A silence between them that felt louder than anything else. Whatever was happening, it wasn't simple. And it definitely wasn't over. Because just when the tension reached its peak, when fans thought they had seen everything, a new leak surfaced. Unedited. Unfiltered. And this time it didn't look like something they could explain away. The leak didn't explode immediately. Crept in. A dimly lit rehearsal room. No music, no choreography. Just the faint hum of equipment left running. The camera angle was low, unstable, like it had never been meant to record anything important. But it did. At first, nothing seemed unusual. A few staff voices in the background. Movement out of frame. Then the lens shifted slightly and caught Kim Taehyung sitting alone. No stylists. No cameras directed at him. No performance mask. He wasn't speaking. He wasn't even moving much. Just sitting there, shoulders drawn in, fingers loosely clenched together like he was holding himself steady from the inside. His breathing looked uneven, subtle, but visible enough to feel wrong. Not exhaustion. Not simple fatigue. Something heavier. Then footsteps. Fast. Familiar. Jungkook entered the frame without realizing he was being recorded. No stage presence, no filter, just raw reaction. He stopped the moment he saw Taehyung. And in that instant, everything changed. "Hyung," he said quietly. Taehyung didn't respond right away. A few seconds passed. Long enough to feel uncomfortable. Long enough to understand. This wasn't the first time this moment had almost happened. Then finally, "I'm fine." The words were automatic. Too automatic. Jungkook didn't move closer immediately. He stood there, watching, reading something deeper than the words themselves. His jaw tightened slightly. "No, you're not." No accusation. Just certainty. Taehyung let out a small breath. Barely noticeable but heavy. He leaned back slightly, eyes drifting away, avoiding the confrontation without actually leaving it. "It's just a lot right now." Fake. Deflecting. And Jungkook knew it. He stepped closer, slow, controlled. "Then stop pushing yourself like this." That was the line. Because for the first time, Taehyung's composure cracked. Not dramatically. Not loudly. But enough. His fingers tightened. His gaze dropped. And when he spoke again, his voice wasn't steady. "I don't have that option." Silence filled the room. Not empty silence. Heavy silence. The kind that says more than any explanation ever could. Jungkook's expression shifted. Something between frustration and helplessness. Because whatever Taehyung was dealing with, it wasn't something he could fix just by being there. And that realization hit harder than anything else. "Since when?" Jungkook asked. It wasn't just a question. It was a realization forming in real time. Taehyung didn't answer. He didn't need to, because the silence itself confirmed it. Long enough. Too long. Jungkook exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair, trying to stay composed, but failing in the smallest ways. "Why didn't you tell me?" The question lingered. Not accusing. Just hurt. Taehyung finally looked at him. And for a split second, just one, everything he had been holding back surfaced in his eyes. The exhaustion. The pressure. The fear of what happens if he stops. Then it disappeared. "I didn't want it to affect you." That was the moment everything broke. Not loudly. Not visibly. But completely. Jungkook shook his head once sharply. "It already does." No hesitation. No softness. Just truth. And that truth hung between them like something irreversible. The room felt smaller. Colder. Outside, footsteps passed. Voices echoed faintly. The world was still moving. Still expecting. Still waiting for a perfect comeback that suddenly didn't feel possible anymore. Inside that room, everything had already shifted. Jungkook stepped closer again, this time without stopping. Close enough that the distance between them disappeared completely. "You think I don't see it?" he said quietly. "You think no one notices?" Taehyung didn't respond. But his silence wasn't resistance anymore. It was exposure. And Jungkook softened. Not in words but in presence. "You don't have to carry it like this." For a moment, it almost felt like Taehyung might give in. Like he might finally say something real. But instead he stood up slowly. Carefully. Rebuilding the distance that had just been broken. "I'm okay." This time it sounded final. Not because it was true, but because it was the only answer he was willing to give. Jungkook didn't follow. He just stood there, watching, understanding something he didn't want to understand. Because this wasn't just about exhaustion. It wasn't just about pressure. It was about something deeper. Something that had already gone too far. The video cut abruptly. No resolution. No explanation. Just a moment frozen in uncertainty. But it was enough. More than enough. Because now the question wasn't whether Taehyung would be absent from the comeback. The real question was this. If he shows up, what version of him will be standing on that stage? And why does it feel like Jungkook already knows the answer and is terrified of it? The fallout was immediate but not public. Not yet. Inside the system surrounding BTS, everything tightened. Schedules were adjusted without explanation. Appearances were quietly rearranged. Mentions of Kim Taehyung became selective. Not absent, just controlled. And that made it worse. Because the more they tried to stabilize the image, the more it started to crack. Fans weren't guessing anymore. They were watching closely. Leave your positive comments here. The best comment will be pinned as a way to honor their love. Thank you to everyone who continues to support this channel. May God reward all of your kindness. This video reflects my personal opinion and interpretation. It is made for entertainment purposes only and does not represent confirmed facts.